Are you looking for better shooting experience? How about a facility where you can shoot all of your firearms in the same day, where you can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, and practice your rifle work out to 600 yards? Shoot a very challenging sporting place course or a round of trap or skeet. You can do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, president of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you love the outdoors, you'll want to know all about Northern Illinois' largest outdoor shooting facility, the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you're a novice looking for a basic course, an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, or perhaps you want to participate in your favorite shooting event, or just spend an enjoyable day with a family, the Aurora Sportsman's Club is the only shooting facility in the region that offers all that and more. Interested? Then you won't want to miss the next orientation and tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Call, email, or visit our website today to find out how you can become part of a better shooting experience at the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois.
He is the human Molotov cocktail that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them.
So we're going to create a new government that serves you, your family, and your country.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues, here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David's rant of the week is Trump ends Operation Choke Point, but Second Amendment still under attack, with David and Gretchen taking a look at the relentless attack on the Second Amendment. Next, we'll be separating truth from fiction about the Charlottesville fiasco. Was it high drama or lowbrow theater? Finally, what effect will the desperate departure of Breitbart's Steve Bannon from the White House have on its current conservative initiatives? All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So give us a call at 815-205-1584. That's 815-205-1584. Or go to Facebook, like our page On Target Radio, and ask a question or make a comment there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
The House Republicans finally got off their fat special interest fed keisters and did something Trump wanted for a change. They successfully put pressure on Attorney General Jeff Sessions to end Operation Choke Point. With a wooden stake driven through its heart, Operation Choke Point bit the dust once and for all, and the sighs of relief could be heard across the nation from thankful gun store owners. Well, you know, except in Chicago, where there really aren't any gun stores. In case you've been on an extended hiatus in the Maldives, Operation Choke Point was a program instituted by Obama specifically to turn off credit to businesses he didn't like. Seriously, it was his own efficient method of eliminating those he didn't like by locking them out of bank credit. In one 6-month period in 2013, about 60 administrative subpoenas were issued to banks that did business with gun stores. What, you say you can't do that? You were pretty deep in the Maldives there, weren't you, buddy? You missed 8 years of can-do attitude. Unfortunately, it only applied to critical elements that slowly dismantled the American way of life, one tradition at a time. Of course, you are technically correct. You can't do that legally. So they got tricky. They made it known if you lent money to a business Obama didn't like, such as, any gun store in the United States, for instance, the bank would end up being audited. Hi, I'm from the IRS, and President Obama sent me here to help you. What could possibly go wrong with that? So, from the perspective of Second Amendment supporters, we have Republican-controlled, pretty much everything. The Supreme Court has shifted to the right. We've done away with Operation Choke Point so gun stores can get revved up. Every state is concealed carry, and there's some serious talk about national concealed carry reciprocity. It would seem to be the Second Amendment golden age, but not so fast, bucko. Enter California's Second Amendment Antichrist, Kamala Harris. The uber-liberal Democrat was California's 32nd Attorney General until she was elected to the Senate in 2016. Harris is now trying to implement on a national level the horrific anti-Second Amendment laws that naive, stupid Californians allowed to be passed, including every liberal's favorite, an assault weapon ban. Wait, isn't this deja vu all over again? Even the New York Times, hardly a Second Amendment supporter, admits that the 1994 to 2004 assault weapon ban instituted under Bill Clinton did nothing to reduce crime. But hey, let's not let a decade-long failure cast a shadow on an otherwise, well, worthless piece of legislation. Harris also effectively kept California a may-issue state despite strong challenges to the contrary. Assaults against the Second Amendment are cropping up all over the place, like medical marijuana farms next to sanctuary cities. The latest is the American Civil Liberties Union, which, contrary to popular belief, has actually defended some Second Amendment cases. The ACLU now says if you want to express your First Amendment rights in a legal protest and you're carrying a firearm, you're on your own. Has there ever been a time when Second Amendment acolytes weren't on their own? Be that as it may, according to the ACLU, there's no blend of First and Second Amendment rights. Elsewhere, liberals continue to push smart guns, which really aren't. Bullet micro-stamping technology, which really isn't. And a gun violence tax on firearms and ammunition to fund crime prevention programs, which really won't. And that's not the half of it, which leads me to contemplate the next election cycle. The time is drawing near, meaning it's time for you to get off of your keisters, beat the bushes, and let's find some good old-fashioned Tea Party conservatives and dump the chumps in Congress. And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
Wow, you covered a lot there. That was like an episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, people laugh at it, I guess. Well, I don't know. It's when you stop to consider, Republicans are essentially running almost everything.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much anti-gun stuff is turning up. It's a lot.
Well, they feel like they got to try something.
Why? Why don't they go home? Why don't they go away?
That's not in their nature.
No, apparently not. You remember?
But the Operation Choke Point thing it's good news. Very good news.
It is good news. Doesn't really affect Chicago though, because they don't have gun stores.
No, it doesn't affect Chicago. We weren't.
Yeah,
I don't live in Chicago. I don't really give a rat's ass about Chicago.
I'm shocked that you would say that. Okay, no, I'm not. But here's the point. The point is, realistically, when you belong to a political party that pretty much controls everything. You would think you could slap them down, and they're not.
Well, we've talked about this before with, not so much with Kamala Harris specifically, but this type of thing of, in the last session of Congress, when we didn't have the presidency, but we did have control of Congress, they were trying to propose gun control, and we're like, yeah, this isn't going anywhere, right?
Well, and the truth is it probably won't. Most of the stuff will probably never see the light of day.
No.
I don't really doubt that. What I find interesting is some people think that the whole gun control issue is what upended Hillary Clinton. I don't think that's true. But I think it had.
It didn't help.
Right. I think it had a pretty significant effect, just like it had on Bill Clinton.
it definitely mobilized some NRA people that maybe don't always vote, but made a point of voting in that election.
They're really stupid people. You would think you would look at that. I mean, after the Clinton thing for a long time, Democrats it was like the third rail. They wouldn't touch gun control because they lost everything as a result of that. Yeah. And here they are beating the drum. You know, what's her name? We got it here in the stack. Is telling you know, the one, she's an Indian. She tells everybody.
Elizabeth Warren.
Warren, right? Warren is saying we should just shut down the discussion completely.
Yeah.
Just shut it off.
We're done talking about it.
Like what? Exactly how is she going to do that? You know, is she going to?
Yeah, that was a good one. She says, it's time for us to say Democrats are on the side of science. We're done arguing. I know. We're done arguing about whether climate change is real. We're done arguing about whether trickle-down economics works. We're done arguing about gun safety.
Of course, they'll start again tomorrow.
I was going to say, if you could be done with it, that would be fantastic. Because I'm kind of done with it too.
I'll contribute to your campaign if you'll do that.
Yeah, it's like good because I'm kind of done.
Yeah, we're done with it too. I'll tell you what does worry me though. One of these things on the laundry list that could literally be a problem is these gun violence taxes, because that's a state legislature thing, and if you put a tax, because like Cook County has one, what, they got 2 cents or 3 cents a round, isn't it?
I think it's a penny on 22 and a nickel on centerfire, I think, and $25 on guns.
Which is killing Cabela's.
Oh, yeah, and like, I can't imagine how, you know, Chuck's is doing, and, you know, all the suburban Cook County gun stores that we know, you know, Midwest Guns and Chuck's and all of them.
They're in Cook County. They become, how you compete?
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, for most of us, if you can get to a suburban Cook County gun store, it's probably because you have a vehicle, which not everyone in Chicago does, and then you could just go out of Cook County. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you?
And in the end, who gets the short end of the stick? The poor people who need protection, can't afford it to begin with, and they make it harder to get.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little more on this subject when we return. A lot more on this on stuff that's happened in the Second Amendment. So we'll be back with that and more when we return with On Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
Do you dread writing? Is it challenging to find just the right words to get your point across? Do you put off developing marketing materials because you just don't know where to start? You get one chance to make a first impression, and my editor, Creative Business Services, can help make it a strong, positive one. Hi, this is Gretchen Fritz, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to tell you about My Editor, a business I started to help you overcome those concerns. What you're experiencing is very common. My Editor has helped business owners, candidates for political office, and even authors and public speakers. At My Editor Creative Business Services, we can simply edit your existing work or help you develop an entire writing plan of action from initial project design through final copy. We are easy to work with and will help you get your point across in the most effective manner. If words escape you, send me an email at myeditor@mail.com. Use My Editor Creative Business Services and go to print with confidence. That's myeditor@mail.com or find us on Facebook.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
You know, could you imagine Elizabeth Warren as president?
Oh, no.
Her name's been floated.
She would be possibly incrementally better than Hillary Clinton in so much as I don't know that she's a criminal, but she's as much of like a screech monkey as Hillary Clinton.
She's a hardcore ideologue.
Right.
Like totally.
She's way left.
Locked into
really,
way left.
Really far left.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the upcoming elections, because, I mean, I know you feel the way I do that there are any number of incumbent Republicans that I would not have a problem if they got thrown under the bus. Mm-hmm. Metaphorically speaking, I'm not suggesting any violence. If you shoot a statue of a Confederate soldier, is that violence?
Well, it's negligent discharge. I wouldn't call that violence per se.
Maybe. And again, maybe not. I don't know.
He says that 5 times a day.
No, more than that.
I'm not around all the time.
Yeah. The other thing is microstamping keeps rearing its ugly head.
That just keeps popping up again.
It does. I mean, it like goes away for a year, and then all of a sudden, it's back again.
And then
it's the same company. Nothing's changed.
I think like some staffer who's like playing on the internet, like pretending to work. They go, oh, microstamping. Give this to Representative Brown, will you? Here's some information about microstamping. And Brown goes, oh, that sounds good.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
That sounds like a really good idea. I think it could work.
There's only one company, right?
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't work. It's just, just think about it. When the firing, first of all, it's microscopic, right? Mm-hmm. And when the firing pin hits the primer, right, mm-hmm. which is dense in, all the things that can go wrong that would negate it. Not to mention the fact that if you had a gun, you could just replace the firing pin.
Mm-hmm. Or file it off.
Yeah. Which I think most of our Berettas have been filed off because they're not always hitting on all 8 cylinders. Microstamping is not one of those silly things that, theoretically could get passed, like smart guns. Well, mm-hmm. actually, not could. What is it? Massachusetts? What state was it that said after a certain date, no gun can be sold that isn't a smart gun? Was it Massachusetts?
I don't know. This one says California did that with microstamping.
With microstamping, yeah. The smart gun,
which I wasn't aware that they actually passed that. So
yeah,
it's coming up to the deadline where you're not going to be able to sell new guns in California anymore.
And of course, the real technology doesn't exist. The guy who makes them swears those are the greatest things in sliced bread, which I've never been certain what was great prior to sliced bread. But he said, "Oh, it's well." He's selling them.
Right.
Of course they work. Oh yeah, these are the greatest thing you'll ever get. And, the government will buy up $28 million worth and the guy will disappear.
Well, not only that, but whether, if it doesn't work, it's so much the better for gun control people because it's effectively a gun ban then.
Right.
Basically can't sell any new guns.
Which is the bottom line.
Right. I mean,
that's really what it's about.
They'd be just as happy to find out that was the case.
Yeah. Give us a call, 815-205-1584. We didn't get anybody last week. 815-205-1584. If you have something to add to our conversation.
Yeah, so they already have a microstamping law in California.
Yeah.
And this Representative Anthony Brown from Maryland, this is hilarious.
It's Maryland.
The name of his bill makes me laugh every time I read it. He's introduced the Make Identifiable Criminal Rounds Obvious Act.
Now, what does that contract to?
Micro.
See,
he's introduced that in Congress. So he's trying to, again, even though he's not from California, he's trying to export California gun control to the entire U.S., which since we're in control of everything, I don't think it's going to happen.
Depends on what level of control you consider control. We got people, McCain, I mean...
Yeah, I don't see it.
There's a certain irony that the USS McCain just torpedoed into a ship around Singapore. It just, it's kind of like...
Is that the one that happened a couple of days ago, and they court-martialed the captain, or they, removed him?
It's not an old wives' tale. If a ship goes down, the captain is on the hook.
Well, guys died, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they lost 10 or 12, I think.
I told you one of my naval OCS classmates ran a frigate aground. Now, that's a career ender right there. And the captain was sound asleep. It was at night. He was bunked out, sound asleep, but it's his boat.
It's his problem.
Yep, he authorized it.
Buck stops there.
It's in defense of the poor schlub who running a 350-foot ship on a reef is challenging.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Tough. But it wasn't a reef; it was a sandbar, and it was uncharted. But he was also really close. Apparently, I heard really close to the shoreline, which we shouldn't have been. But can you imagine being a 350-foot ship with several hundred people, and all of a sudden it just stops? I mean, they're not going that fast, but they're big. It's a lot of mass.
Sure.
Yeah. That would be challenging. I think I like the quote from Anton Chekhov in that article about When Guns Clash, about the ACLU.
Mm-hmm.
If in the first act you've hung a pistol on the wall, then in the following one it should be fired. It's a plot point. But this guy that writes this article, When Guns Clash with Speech, is obviously he's a bleeding heart liberal.
Obviously.
Yeah, And what he's talking about is what went down in Charlottesville. He apparently went. He apparently went there to Charlottesville.
No, that was a different article.
Is that the other guy?
Yeah.
And his wife. The other guy and his wife.
Yeah, that was a different article.
Yeah. So I have to ask this question, because he's another liberal. And I have to ask this question. What are you thinking? Let's go somewhere for the weekend. It'll be really pleasant. We'll have a nice time. Where are you going to go? Well, let's go where that riot's starting to take place. What exactly is going through your head?
I think the idea was, I don't think he knew.
No, he knew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he knew. They went looking they were going to try and find a church and get together and all sing Kumbaya at this thing, which never came to fruition because no one remembers the words to Kumbaya. But, if you don't wear patchouli every day, you don't know the words to that song. But they got down there and, oh my God, people were rioting. They weren't wearing Birkenstocks. They were out there kicking each other's ass. And that surprised him. Well, I don't know why. But the interesting thing about what happened, the people who did get arrested, none of them were locals. This is another made-up thing. Unfortunately, somebody lost their life.
No, I don't see anywhere in here where he says they planned to. Okay, but I don't see anywhere in this article that they knew that this protest was going to be happening, and that's why they went to Charlottesville.
The husband and wife?
Yes. He just says, I picked quite a time to go on a weekend trip to Charlottesville. What was supposed to be a nice getaway with my wife turned into a journey through the eye of the national media storm.
But he intentionally goes looking for a church where they can all hold hands and
okay. So that must have been a different
songs.
article because I don't see that.
Yeah, and so the point is, if you intentionally go to where there's a riot,
mm-hmm.
you're adding to the problem. If he'd have gotten hosed down, tough luck.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
What happens at that point.
Yeah. Apparently, none of the churches were sitting in circles holding hands singing Kumbaya, and where the gunshots were going off and the car was driving over people. They were.
I heard were there actually gunshots? I thought there weren't any.
No, but there were weapons.
Okay, there was see, you're making it worse. You're fake news over there, mister.
It's a metaphor.
I'm going to go all Trump on you and just be like, you're fake news. Next question.
It's a metaphor. That's all. It's a metaphor for they went nuts. And here's the thing. You remember,
we're supposed to be the not fake news.
Well,
that's what we're supposed to be doing here.
They had guns. They had guns.
Okay, they had guns, but nobody shot.
I think at 5 o'clock they could go out in the perimeter and test fire them. Oh, wait, no, it was Vietnam. Never mind. But the point is...
You're having flashbacks again.
Yeah, well, it's a flashback. The point is, the skinheads, if they would have ignored them, they would have marched down the street and would have fizzled out, much like the Nazis did in Skokie years ago. Mm-hmm. You know, it never even took place. In fact, it never got it done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because people basically just ignored them.
So the scene in the Blues Brothers was totally made up.
Well, they were there. They went, but they didn't make the big march. As soon as you turn the camera on people, things get ugly because everybody wants to make a point. Mm-hmm. That's what happens. And look at what happened downtown Chicago. You know, it started out as a demonstration and it just went crazy. Everybody was there. The media was there. There was helicopters flying over the top. I mean, basically what you should do is, my first choice would be just mow them down. But there's probably some law against doing that. But these people get away with doing this stuff because nobody holds them accountable.
But yeah, this is saying that I sent you this article from Clash Daily that there's evidence that Charlottesville was a setup. That the thing of it is, okay, so the white supremacists had a permit to have a demonstration,
and they weren't being violent.
And they were not being violent, and so everything was cool until the counter protesters showed up, who did not have a permit. First of all. Second of all, what this is saying is that there is a law enforcement, there's a cop who is saying he's a whistleblower, but he's saying it anonymously at this point, that they were told don't necessarily keep these two groups apart.
They were given orders by the mayor to not stop it.
Right. He says that they... as soon as they were in, we were ordered to bring the rival groups together. So they apparently moved so that they could get closer together.
Exactly.
And as soon as they were in contact with each other, we were told to stand down.
Is that not a setup or what?
We weren't allowed to arrest anyone without asking the mayor first. We weren't even allowed to stop the driver as he sped away. So, you know, you've got people brought in from out of town or encouraged to come in by somebody.
Yep.
Hello, Soros. Somebody encouraged people to come from out of town to go to both sides of this protest, and then the police are told, okay, get them as close together as possible, and then get out of the way.
And let them have at it.
Right.
That's basically what it was.
Well, it sounds to me like a whole lot of nothing.
Well, yeah, it was done. It was manufactured.
It's a play.
Exactly.
It's a setup. It's a play.
When we come back, we're going to argue some more among ourselves about exactly what happened down there, and we'll talk about some other stuff when we return with more on Target Radio. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to offer you a partnership opportunity. For over 4 years, On Target Radio covered the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech, on AM 560 The Answer. But a 1-minute commercial was $200, making it tough to find enough sponsors. So last November, we left AM 560 and began podcasting. There's a learning curve to podcasting, and we've worked through the kinks and would now like to make you an offer. You can have a 60-second audio or video commercial for as little as $25 a week. We can also offer fellow conservatives their own radio or video podcast for as little as $100 a week, with equipment and technical personnel included. You provide the content and host, plus get 6 free minutes of commercial time you can sell yourself. If you'd like to be an On Target Radio sponsor or explore the possibility of having your own show, call me at 815-741-3474, and let's explore the possibilities together.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
This segment is brought to you by the Will County Grassroots Division of the Illinois State Rifle Association. Join like-minded friends supporting the right to keep and bear arms in Illinois at 7 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois.
Look, I say the world's going nuts. Just look at this news. Well, don't look, I'll tell you. This news feed that I just got about 20 minutes ago. First article, Germany. Journalists get 6 months jail for posting historic World War II photo of German leader meeting the Grand Mufti. It's a historic photo, and they jail him because he publishes it. It's not like he took something. Mm-hmm. Next one, PayPal, who we use. PayPal endorses Islamic Jihad after ProPublica hit piece against anti-jihad websites. PayPal endorses Islamic Jihad. Media praise. This is a great one, and I've been to Iceland. I like Iceland. Media praises Iceland's eugenics to eliminate Down syndrome. Ignorant Americans sign petition to remove George Washington from the dollar bill. I don't, you can't even make this stuff up. These people have gone insane. Taking George Washington off a dollar bill. What is that going to prove?
I don't know.
So when they took down Robert E. Lee, and I can't remember what state it was a northern state. It wasn't a southern state. But for some reason it was a statue of Robert E. Lee. They replaced it with a standing pregnant black woman statue made of paper mache. Now, I know you're thinking I'm making this up.
It does sound made up. It sounds kind of made up, yeah.
It does, but it's not. It's true. I don't remember what state it was. But yeah, they took down Robert E. Lee, which, by the way, Robert E. Lee, number one, was never for the Civil War. But you got to remember, back in those days, states were the primary thing, not the federal government. People were big on state rights, and he was from Virginia. So, but he was a graduate of West Point. He was a distinguished Army military officer before the Civil War. And he was not in favor of the Civil War. And the only reason he got involved was because he was loyal to his own state. It just, and he didn't like slavery. Lee was against slavery. I mean, and then, of course, naturally, you want to knock down the statues. These people have no frickin' common sense at all. None. They're just stupid.
Yeah, did you see the one I posted this past week? It says, liberals say we must tear down all monuments to racism, and it's a picture of Planned Parenthood. It's like, okay, we're waiting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. The American Bar Association, due process. Whatever happened to due process? They have a resolution. Governments are encouraged to implement legislation to allow for confiscation of firearms even after ex parte orders. And for those of you from Iowa, well, actually that's not true because you know words. Ex parte means literally somebody can go to court without your knowledge, register, I don't know what you call it. It's not a complaint. I'm not quite sure what you call it, but it is a complaint. Register a complaint against you, get out like a restraining order without you being involved, without you even knowing it.
Sure.
And the cops come knock on your door and take all your firearms away from you. You have no chance to defend yourself. You don't get a day in court. There's nothing. They just, you get ticked off. It's like the Chris Rock thing about the, how not to get beaten up by cops, and the cop pulls over and says, if your girlfriend is PO'd at you, yeah, she goes, he got weed.
Don't take her with you. Yeah,
and it's kind of like that. I mean, somebody can drop a dime on you for something you didn't do. Next thing you know, they're knocking on the door. Mm-hmm. I just got an email about 3 days ago from one of our students who got served with divorce papers.
Okay.
And totally by shock. He had no idea. And so he bought himself a bottle and decided, I'm going to get and then was going to drive home. And he decided after going a very, very short distance in the car, this was a really bad idea, pulled over, parked the car, and had sat in the car, and the next thing he knows, he wakes up in the hospital. Right?
Okay.
2 days later, they take his FOID card and all his guns from him. Now, we're going to hook him up with an attorney and see how that works out. But, you know, the whole subject, like property, and they're making, this administration, of all things, has made statements about we should have property, what do they call it? Confiscation, not confiscation, but when they, if you commit a crime, they take your car, they take everything that's associated with it. I can't think of the name of it. Eric, what do they call that?
Seizure.
That's my guy. Property seizure, which you'd think would be unconstitutional, but apparently it's not. When they hit these trucks out here, the dope trucks, they take everything. I mean, everything, absolutely everything. The truck, they take it all. There's no, like, due process for that stuff. You're looking at me like I just fell off the moon.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost. You're saying this administration,
that's surprising.
Are you confusing, are you thinking we're still in the Obama administration again?
No, actually, this is what surprised me. Jeff Sessions has said that that's appropriate, which really surprised me, because that's not a very conservative attitude. I don't know. I just, it's like there's a shifting in society going on. And
well, probably as far as the Jeff Sessions thing goes, it's probably one of the, tough on crime type of things. I think, I mean, is it not the case that in most of these type of situations the due process happens after and then you can get your stuff back afterwards?
they typically don't give you your stuff back.
Really?
Now, you can sue and, go through the motions and stuff, but more often than not, my understanding is that you don't get your stuff back. You go to Cook County, for instance, if you get, if there's a criminal violation and you're in Cook County and it's gun-related, you probably never see the gun again, even if you're adjudicated not guilty.
Oh, sure.
And
yeah.
if you do get it back, they have etched into the steel of the gun, something about evidence, case number, whatever, and stuff like that on your gun. It's
well, that's right. We tell people in class, and we tell people straight up: don't carry a gun that has sentimental value, and don't carry a gun that's very expensive, because if you ever have to shoot somebody, you might never see that gun again.
That's exactly right. It is exactly right. I don't know. See, here's where it says it. It says, under the resolution, governments encouraged to implement legislation to allow for confiscation even after ex parte orders, which are orders that can be issued without the target of restraining order present to provide evidence in their own defense. You don't have, they just do it. And then they show up on your doorstep. That's, kind of screwed up. And it's like, I forget which state it was. If you want to be a foster parent, you have to give up your guns. Where does that come from?
I think that's multiple states. That's going before the Supreme Court, isn't it?
I don't know.
I want to say that they agreed to hear that one.
They may have, because it's certainly unconstitutional. There's nothing in the Constitution that says you have to give up a right in order to exercise another right. There's nothing that says that.
Right.
The Bill of Rights is Bill of Rights, all of them. And they just make these flexible. And the Second Amendment's a classic example. When you cross a border of one state to another, the freedom of speech law doesn't change.
Right.
You can't quarter troops in your house,
All of a sudden.
All that stuff stays the same except for the Second Amendment. That's insanity. It's liberalism at its finest. And then Oregon, the governor of Oregon signed this gun confiscation bill. If you go to court, this is very similar to the other one. If you go to court and say, David's depressed and he's talking weird, and I don't think he should have his guns. They just come and take them. Mm-hmm. Just okay. Now
they tried to do that here in Illinois. We beat it back.
Didn't work.
Yeah,
it didn't work, but it did work in Oregon, which is becoming rapidly surpassing California for stupidity.
That whole, Washington is bad. Now Oregon is getting to be like equal to Washington and California. Yeah. That whole left side.
It's like a cancer that's spreading up the coast.
Right, exactly.
Now here's the interesting thing. If you filled out fake orders saying, he's depressed and all that kind of stuff, you can pay up to a $6,250 fine. Oh, wow.
Or be in prison for up to a year.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. I don't know.
So at least there's a little disincentive not to just make crap up about people.
These people. Soros would probably say, look, you're going to do a dime, okay? I'll give you 10 grand. No, 12. I'll give you 12 grand. He's got more money than God. He can do whatever he wants.
No, that's true.
I just literally can't believe that he hasn't been arrested. Even the Teflon Don finally got arrested.
Is Soros in this country, though, or is he operating from some other country?
He's in New York. He's in Manhattan. I
don't understand. There's quotes of him saying how much he hates America. It's
and Americans.
Go live somewhere else. You could live anywhere in the world except for Hungary because they want him dead.
Because he's under indictment in Hungary. Yeah.
They'd love to extradite him.
I don't know how you would think Trump would be down his throat.
Yeah.
Of course, the other side is we don't know what's going on in the background.
I was going to say, Trump's only been president for like 7 months, so there could be stuff going on that we don't know about.
That's true. Well, like resupplying him with ink.
Exactly.
Needs more ink.
Exactly. It might warm my soul to find out that, Trump is looking into having Soros suffer a heart attack, if you know what I mean.
Oh, is he going hunting? We'll be back. Well, that was a low shot, wasn't it?
It was.
That's true, though.
Pretty low.
We're going to come. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about what's his name? Breitbart.
Bannon.
Bannon. We're going to talk about Bannon.
What's his name?
What's his name?
We're going to talk about old what's his name.
Oh, what's his name? But a lot of conservatives are very concerned about that. So when we come back, we'll be back talking about that and more, and wrap it up with more on Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
In need of a ride to O'Hare or Midway Airport? Well, look no further. The Yellow Checker Cab Company is the cab company for you. With the Yellow Checker Cab Company, you will always be greeted by a friendly face and arrive safely and on time for your flight. Start your trip off right by taking advantage of one of their limos, shuttle vans, cabs, or courtesy cars. And airport trips are not all they specialize in. This 24-hour cab service will pick you up anytime, any day, for any occasion. From bachelorette parties to school dances to just a night out with friends. Yellow Checker Cab Company has the best rates in town. So sit back, relax, and leave the driving to the professionals. Once you experience their fast and affordable cab service, you'll be a customer for life. When it comes to cab companies, be sure to choose Yellow Checker Cab because you have the right to expect certain things from your cab company. For further information or to book your trip today, call 815-744-2900. That's 815-744-2900.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
We got a lot to say about old what's-his-name, don't we?
I don't know. I don't think we do, actually.
I know one way to actually, if we don't really have a lot to talk about old what's-his-name, I know a way that we can cure that.
I'm sure there are many things.
Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
Join On Target Radio at the 4th Annual Constitutional Rights Fundraiser to benefit the Illinois State Rifle Association on Thursday, September 14th at the Clarion Hotel in Joliet. David Keene, former NRA president, and Dan Proft of AM 560 will speak. Individual tickets are $50. Sponsorships, ad book spaces, and promotional tables or booth spaces are all available for your business or political campaign. Contact Steve Balich or Gretchen Fritz for more information or to reserve your space. I put all this and our contact information on Facebook last week. The following Safer USA classes are at our facility in Waterman, Saturday and Sunday, September 2nd and 3rd. Illinois Concealed Carry 1. When seconds count, the police are only minutes away. That's why you should get Illinois Concealed Carry. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry as well as Florida, Arizona, and Utah. Saturday, September 23rd, Long Range Rifle, taught by Ed Janka. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on Register.
So old what's-his-name? Steve
Bannon, for the rest of you.
Yeah, Steve Bannon. You know, he ran Breitbart, arch conservative guy,
yes,
and is known for his ability to run campaigns. And I think I remember when Trump announced that Bannon was going to be his number one guy, made people feel conservatives because for a long time people didn't trust Trump in terms of being conservative, but. And I don't know that I would call him a conservative exactly, but his he has basic conservative principles that he feels pretty strong about and always has, that he's got a track record. So,
sure.
You know, but Bannon being axed makes a lot of people nervous. They don't know now what's going to happen in the White House because what you're left with are a bunch of people who really, I don't know if I would call them liberal, but Democrat types, including his own daughter.
Oh, really?
And her husband, yeah.
I did not know that.
So there's some concern. But, you look at, from my perspective, Second Amendment, he's always been pro-Second Amendment. And he's certainly done the right things. And we got the Supreme Court justice, so...
But what about, now see, this is saying that John Kelly and H.R. McMaster, but they're military. Usually they're not Democrats.
Oh, no, there's...
I mean, I know there's some,
yeah.
But I think that was Mike O'Malley was running against Hillary in the primary. He was a Democrat. He was ex-military.
Well, here in the article, it says it seems the West Wing is now being run by liberal Democrats. Gary Cohn, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Generals John Kelly, and H.R. McMaster. They're all. I don't know... I'm not sure if people always make the distinction between liberal and Democrat. I mean, Democrats tend to be liberal, of course, but when I at least use the term liberal, I'm talking about the whack jobs. I mean, the ones that are
Right.
yeah. Because I mean, there are Democrats. I may not always agree with them, but they're reasonable, and and then you have this cabal of arch liberals who I tell you what I think, except then the NSA would be parked out in front again. And who was it that just said it was it a state senator that said she wished Trump would get assassinated? This was just in the past couple of days.
Yeah, I saw that. Can't remember if that was a state senator. I want to say it was a congressperson.
Maybe it was a congressman. It was a woman.
Yeah.
And her fellow Democrats have censured her. They've said, you should resign. Get out. Which is certainly a step in the right direction. The astounding thing is if people would have said that about Barack Obama, and I'm sure there were some people that did, but generally speaking, the right was pretty tolerant of Obama. I mean, we kept trying to get rid of him, but there wasn't a lot of
she is a state senator. She's a Missouri state senator.
Missouri.
Maria Chappelle Nadal.
That's the one.
Oh, she has the same last name as that whack job down at Fort Hood. Nadal.
I think that's common.
Or was that his first name? Oh, yeah, that was his first. He was like Nadal Hassan or something like that.
You don't know.
Yeah, true.
See, well, there's American names too that Bob Roberts. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just,
yes.
James. I mean, names are funny things. But what's his name? I just saw a headline about him. It didn't go into detail, but apparently he's going to nuke Trump. Apparently, I think he's PO'd.
Oh, Bannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read a headline and I didn't see the article about he's makes a statement for the first time. So,
if he does that, then he's not much of a conservative, really.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if it wasn't for a good cause, maybe it needs to be said.
I think you have a sitting president who represents your party. You want a living example? Look at Obama. The Democrats never, ever owned up to anything that man did. Mm-hmm. They would just totally ignore it. Well, yesterday Obama bombed 400,000 people in the hospital. Not a word of news, nothing. You know? It's called loyalty. In their particular instance, it's kind of misguided, but if you work for somebody and you leave, you probably just keep your mouth shut.
I still say it depends on the circumstances under which.
Well, if they're breaking the law, that's one thing. But I'm talking about, he did something, and I can't remember what it was. I read someplace that Bannon disagreed with Trump on something. I don't remember if it was foreign policy, it was something or other, and they had a falling out over it. But I can't remember for the life of me what it is. It's, I don't know. But I don't think, well, first of all, some of the bigger chunks have already been done, through executive orders and that kind of stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff has been done. Mm-hmm. The one thing that Trump has not been able to get through, and I think it frustrates him enormously, is the Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare, and that's not really his fault. It's the lame Congress. And I don't know what will happen with that. I mean, they still are divided. They still don't have a plan.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you put Joe Walsh back there, something will shake up.
Well, the problem is, it's just like we say with everything. The problem is that Republicans insist on operating with scruples. We have principles, and we refuse to violate our principles. Well, Democrats don't have any such code by which they live. So the fact that they didn't really have the votes and they just crammed it down our throats, and the American public didn't want it, and they just forced it to pass. They twisted every arm they had to twist in order to get the number of votes they needed to pass the thing. Republicans won't do that. And that's the main that's why we're having a problem now, because Republicans are trying to get the votes in an honest way. They're putting out the bill. They're letting people read it, which is not what the Democrats did. I mean, this is one of those cases where doing the right thing makes it really hard to do anything.
You're right. Republicans, it's interesting. Democrats don't know how to play fair. Republicans don't know how to cheat, except maybe on taxes here and there, but we do. And how many times have I said, the Constitution is not a suicide pact? Republicans are going, we can't do that. We can't fight them like that. That's illegal. Okay, who cares? What? Go ahead and kill me? I'm going to just let people, shoot me in the street? No, that's crazy.
One of our astute viewers, Raymond, says Bannon spoke with a reporter about his view that America has no plan against North Korea, which was undermining Trump's efforts. So maybe that's why he got sacked.
I would say the President of the United States has a pretty decent plan. He got the Chinese for the first time in history. And this is something I never did. Of course, I don't really watch TV, but I didn't catch this in the paper. Nowhere did I see this. For the first time in history, a superpower communist nation said to the President of the United States, if our ally, North Korea, preemptively strikes, we've taken 2 steps back. You do what you got to do. That's never happened, ever. That's a deal that Trump pulled off. And, you don't see that in the news. They don't talk about it.
No. And I keep seeing the headline that we won, that Trump got them to blink. But, I mean, other than them not actually pushing the button, I mean, what happened?
I'm not sure. They're not talking about it. But they didn't push the button.
Yeah, I don't understand how we can be claiming victory when they could still do it at any time. I mean,
as far as
the button still exists.
Yeah, as far as we know. The thing that makes that whole thing very difficult is Seoul is right on the border. Right. I mean, it's not as simple. And people are just going out.
We have a lot of guys on the DMC,
exactly.
So we don't really want to jeopardize our own guys or South Korea. Yeah, right. I mean, we don't want to doom all of those people.
Yeah. I think we should give much to the solution of my Middle East problem, or the Middle East thing, about give every Israeli a free one-way first-class ticket, build him a house wherever he wants, and then carpet nuke the whole Middle East. We can do that with North Korea. The problem is the carpet nuking has to stop before you get too close to the border, so you don't fry the South Koreans.
We'd have to have those calculations really precise.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of a blanket of death.
How far is that cloud going to go out?
Exactly. Oh, look, we're almost out of time. Anyway, that's all. I didn't have a whole lot to say about Bannon, but I don't think it's going to be as dire as some Republicans want you to believe.
Well, yeah, I hope not. I certainly hope not. I mean, reading that one article, it sounds pretty dire, but I don't know.
I suspect that may be more the perspective of the person who wrote it. But,
well, obviously, all of this stuff is quasi-editorial. I shouldn't say all, but in most of it is quasi-editorial in nature.
An awful lot of the news today is aggregate news, meaning it comes from a bunch of different sources and they put it together.
I've even been accused of writing editorial for Illinois Shooter, which I...
You don't think of it that way.
Yeah.
I in fact, do write editorial for
you
the Shooter.
Do, yeah, you do.
I specifically
But
write
I resent
editorial.
that, and I deny it.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome... Anyway, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen tonight, and we appreciate it if you tell your friends about On Target Radio.
We'd also like to thank our engineer, Eric Allen, and our sponsors, the Will County chapter of the Illinois State Rifle Association, Yellow Checker of Joliet, my editor, Creative Business Services, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
We don't have anything planned for next week, but I'm sure it'll be pithy.
Oh, it'll be.
We'll be back with more pith next week.
Excellent, as usual.
Finally, we hope you'll listen next week when there'll be more pith, when we'll be covering more red meat issues that affect your life. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.